Welcome, alchemists. Today's question is, how are you becoming the person that you once needed? If you've already chosen your card, check the doorways, check the timestamps below. If not, doorway number 1, the creation of light. Doorway number 2, the richness within. And doorway number 3, the gift of connection. Choose your doorway, alchemists, and let the great work begin. Hi, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 1. You chose the creation of light. And the question is, how are you becoming the person that you once needed? With the creation of light, I have a feeling that your past, your childhood, could have had a lot of dark moments. You may be working with an abandonment wound that makes the world seem kind of closed off and dark sometimes. And you know, that's never your fault. As a child, we develop all sorts of wounds based on those things. But by becoming the embodiment of light in your own life, you know, you're actually feeding your inner child joy. You're feeding your inner child peace, things that you desperately needed as you were growing up, right? And so I feel like it's always an invitation to just be so, so kind to yourself. Always an invitation to be so, so kind to yourself. All right, let's check out your shadow cards. Yes, look at this. Even though you felt like you were drowning a lot growing up, the person you needed was one that would show you light, that would show you compassion, that showed you the music in the world despite the hard times. And of course, as we know, that person was always you. And you're being able to embody this more now than you've ever been able to before. Look at that. The shadow card. I use this Dixit storytelling deck as my shadow deck, and then this is the shadow card. So basically, you are doing your shadow work to balance the dark and the light. So in the past, it might have been that you felt like you were more trapped in the shadow or the dark side of things. And now you're being able to balance it more. Instead of, you know, a lot of times this means that, like, if you've been going through a lot of depression over things that happened in the past, you're able to start seeing the silver lining more. You're getting the help you need. You are starting to see that you can still be the light no matter what happened to you in the past because you're so strong. Zoom in. The answer is there if you look closer. Oh, I love this for you. Because I think that it's sort of the thing where, like, sometimes it can be really easy to get pulled into the big picture problems, like big picture of the world. I don't think humans were meant to, you know, hold the problems of 8 billion people. And so when we try to take too many problems on ourselves, whether that be the world's problems or even just the problems of one other person, and then we neglect our own, we often get caught up in maybe our shadow, or we get caught up in other people's drama and things like that, and at the expense of us healing ourselves. So it's saying that you've been taking a closer look at yourself and seeing the light and the good and the vibrancy there that maybe you hadn't seen before. And that's exactly what you needed your whole life, was someone to be that example for you. And now you're learning you're going to be that example for yourself. Obstacle: overcoming a blockage in your path. Look at that. By overcoming these obstacles, by looking through your shadow, you are becoming the very light, the very guide that you needed. You're reparenting yourself. You're becoming the example that you always needed. And you had been looking externally for it, but you discovered that the obstacle was within. Not originally, not when you were a kid, but when you grew up, what you were taught kind of stayed with you, right? It kind of stayed with you. And so you felt like that was reality, that that's the way things were, and that was the only option for you. But now you're starting to see that you get to choose your destiny. You get to decide if you have the capacity to handle any more problems than your own. And it's not wrong to just focus on yourself, right? I'm not saying be greedy and impose on other people, but, you know, there's this old saying that's like, in order to bring peace to the world, there must be peace between countries. In order for there to be peace between countries, there must be peace between cities. And for there to be peace between cities, there needs to be peace between neighbors. And for there to be peace between neighbors, there needs to be peace within yourself. Four of Cups. Yeah, the feeling of kind of becoming bored with sort of the drama around you. You're like, I'm not into this anymore. Whether it's drama that was created by other people or drama that was created by your own nervous system and unconscious patterns because they were ingrained in you. You don't know that something is strange unless, you know, you encounter that there's a better way to do it, right? And that doesn't make you bad or wrong. Strength, yeah. So it'll take, you've been very strong. This has been a very, very difficult journey for you to come out of this quicksand mode, to face your shadow stuff, to become the light that you want to see. And with all this lotus imagery, remember lotuses, there's a book by Thich Nhat Hanh called No Lotus, No Mud, No Lotus. And so think about that. The difficulties have been the proving ground or the growing ground for you. It doesn't mean it's great that, you know, you had to deal with all that. But what it does mean is that since you had to deal with all of that anyway, with this Five of Cups energy, and it really messed with you, you're going to transmute that into something beautiful, into something better. That is exactly who you needed as a child, was the person to give you that example. And now you're being that example to yourself, pulling out of this Five of Cups and into this lover's energy, falling in love with yourself, realizing that the golden apple of the sun is your heart, with the Wheel of Fortune here and the Two of Cups. Yeah, this could actually, besides opening up a lot of love for yourself, this has the potential to open up a lot of love in your life in general, whether it be friendship or with this Lovers and Two of Cups, authentic romantic love. You might have found yourself in the past kind of entangled in difficult or toxic relationships because your subconscious patterns were attracting people with similar or complementary wounds that were unhealed. And it's okay to end up with someone with unhealed wounds as long as they're working on it and they don't expect you to suffer or pick up the slack for their emotional problems, right? Embrace the glorious mess that you are. So it comes down to this, doesn't it? Absolute radical acceptance of your full self in the way that you are radically accepting of others. Why is it that you put yourself to such a different standard? You've been through stuff. You've dealt with stuff. You've overcome many obstacles. You have been devastated. You have risen above, and you finally got bored with, you're like, my own nervous system. Like, you're like, ugh, this again? And you're ready to move on from that. You are the creator of the light in your life. And that, my dear alchemist, is how you're not just becoming, but you already are the person that you've already needed. And I love this too, because it looks like there's like a moon with this lotus. And so it's the idea of uncovering your unconscious wounds and healing them and accepting them with radical compassion is the way that you're going to find the most peaceful space in your life. All right. Well, thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Keep up the great work. Hello, alchemists, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 2. How are you becoming the person that you once needed? You picked the Richness Within. Now, this is from the Kitsune deck, so there's a lot of magical feelings here. I feel like you were probably a very imaginative child, and you used your imagination as an escape in order to deal with a lot of the difficult things in your life. And when you were younger, and you might still do that to this day, and that's okay. We all have our ways of escape. But you have a really rich inner world, a really rich inner dialogue, I would think. And in these moments, when you were young and there were really difficult things, you might have even been told to like get your head out of the clouds. But this imagination, this is what made you feel strong. This is what got you through some really, really tough times. So sadly, it's probably been your imagination's been partially put in your shadow, if not completely put in your shadow. And that's because somebody was probably like, oh, you need to be more realistic, or you need to get your head out of the clouds, or something like that. Golden apple. In doorway number 1, there was the Lover's card that also features a golden apple. So that's very interesting. The idea that the thing that nourishes you could actually, be too much for you. So look at the way she feels, almost like overwhelmed by this. And I guess that goes back to the idea of going inward, like with this kid trapped in a snow globe here. Going inward and ignoring the outer world because it seems so barren and so cold compared to the warmth that you can create within. So what I'm getting here so far is that the person that you are becoming that you needed then was someone who encouraged your imagination in a helpful, healthy way, that helped you use your imagination in a way that nourishes you instead of as just an escape, right? And it wouldn't surprise me if you had to almost cut this completely out of your life, because it would be too much. You would get too disappointed with daily life. Oh, this came up in doorway number 1 as well. Zoom in and nurture, water your garden. So zoom in says the answer is there if you look closer. So nurture your imagination, and zooming in here means zoom into what you need to use your imagination for without escaping into it completely, and making sure you're able to zoom out sometimes as well. And just keep nurturing your imagination and your bright, rich inner world. And I think one of the things is can you do that without sending yourself on a guilt trip? Can you do that without feeling like something's wrong? What in your shadow is hanging out there and making you feel like that this is wrong? And how can you override that? Hopefully the tarot will give us a little bit more clarity on that for you, because you deserve to be able to enjoy this aspect of yourself, of your life, this thing that was such a help to you, that's maybe even saved you emotionally or mentally growing up, that you're able to transmute this, alchemist, into something that serves you without overtaking you, if that makes sense. 7 of Swords. Yeah, there's a feeling that the very thing you love the most deceived you, or end up moving against you. And so I want to take an example of this. I read this book one time, and my sisters read it too. And after I read it, I was really depressed for 6 months. It was a big epic fantasy book, because I was like, man, the real world sucks after this. So, I get that kind of energy that maybe you cut off your imagination because the real world felt so gloomy and dark and barren compared. But by nurturing the right things in your real life along with your imagination, you'll be able to balance this more. 5 of Wands. Yes, this is just reinforcing the energy I was saying. The Trojan horse here, that's the idea of the hidden thing in something beautiful that's destructive. And strength also came up in pile 1. You guys are probably really, really closely related. So you've been so strong, and you've kind of oppressed this and pushed it down because you feel like it's wolf in sheep's clothing or something like that. Let's see, 6 of Cups. Yes, you're being called, though. You're being called to re-engage with your imagination in a healthier way, in a way that nourishes you, and in a way that brings your spark to life without it being an escape plan, right? With this 3 of Swords energy, that reinforces that. It's so easy for you to slip into it as a way to just escape the world or avoid relationships and things like that. But remember, with the 6 of Cups energy, you're ready to step out of the snow globe and into the garden, right? The world isn't necessarily all barren. We see a lot of barrenness, but the world is also a garden. What are you going to nurture? Queen of Cups. This is the perfect final card for you, right? Because that's the energy you want to nurture right there. The richness within, being transmuted or transformed into this powerful energy of self-love, self-containment, and nourishment. And with all these butterflies here, we are, of course, feeling the energy of transformation and transmutation. So, alchemists, you have been on quite the journey, haven't you? Yes, you have. So let's go ahead and take a look at, I choose happy. Yeah. How you can balance your imagination with, well, I got two. How can you balance your imagination with real world scenarios? Embrace the glorious mess that you are. This also came up in pile 1. Yeah, these are two really closely tied together piles. Accepting that your messy self and those things, having quiet alone time is good for me. So giving yourself the quiet and alone time you need, embracing yourself and accepting yourself as who you are. It's okay if you're a person who is more introverted. Just because society says that's not okay doesn't mean it's not. Just embrace it. Embrace who you are, accept who you are. And this alone time is not a crime, even if when you were younger, someone really shoved that into your shadow. You know, obviously with these 5 of Wands, 7 of Swords, 3 of Swords energy, you want to be mindful of how much you get caught up in your head and in your rumination. But alchemist, this golden apple, this richness within, and this Queen of Cups, along with 6 of Cups, is really showing that you are nurturing that. The person that you always needed was a person who accepted you fully as you are. A person who, the person you're becoming is the person who says, I don't have to hide away because the world is scary and barren. I'm going to step into the world and make it a garden. I'm going to nurture the good things within myself and without myself. All right, alchemists, I will see you next time and continue the great work. Hello, alchemists, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 3. You chose the gift of connection, and our question was, how are you becoming the person that you once needed? Ooh, gift of connection. I feel like maybe you felt very isolated or even abandoned as a child, like your childhood wound, core wound may center around abandonment. Okay. And so the person that you would be becoming now, and I feel like I need 3 cards for some reason. Okay. For your shadow. The person you're becoming is the person who feels more comfortable with connecting to others and with connecting to yourself. Because, you know, if you are in a situation like this growing up, it can feel very isolating, but it can just feel super unsafe emotionally to connect to other people or even to connect with your deeper emotions. Let's take a look at your shadow card. I can get it up. Yeah, you felt like you weren't in control of your own life or your own emotions even. Yeah, you felt like you were always in danger and you would always get out just in the nick of time. So with these shadow cards, connection felt really dangerous for you. Yeah, you were in a situation where you always felt like you were battling against somebody else. You know, and with the snails there, it's the idea of like the slow burn kind of pain. The kind of pain, the kind of patterns that slowly burn over time with the occasional got out just in time moment, right? You felt like you were out of control. So the person you need in your life is the person who's able to step out of this, pull yourself out of this, and start understanding that connecting with your own emotions will give you more power over yourself than anything else. Being able to do that will allow you to also connect to other people. That's the person you needed to see growing up, and that person is you. Gift, precious offering. Offering yourself the love, the kindness, and the compassion that you deserved as a child. Reparenting yourself now. Look at this. Butterflies for transformation. And she's holding this kind of glowing necklace. So to me, this kind of represents the idea that the answers, the treasure has been in you all the time. You might have been looking outwardly for it. And that's caused a lot of friction in your life. And usually this comes from people or situations in your life that may have made you feel disconnected. It could be intermittent love or intermittent attention, or it could just be full-on emotional abandonment, or it could be worse. But there's a lot of things that can cause this. And it could also be caused by just maybe not feeling like you fit in at school or had any safe friends. So give yourself this gift, the gift of reparenting yourself. Even if you had good parents, learning how to constantly be, the world teaches us to be so mean to ourselves. And I always say, like, would you be that mean to a child? No. Well, in our hearts, all of our hearts contains a little child, right? So if you start treating your own heart like you would treat a small child who is, I guess so, I'll just go with it, who is reaching out for help and reaching out for love and reaching out for affection. If you start treating yourself like that, you start gaining control instead of being at the whim of your emotions or always feeling like you're at battle with yourself or other people. 10 of Pentacles. Yeah, this leads to a lot of contentment in your life. Like if right now you haven't been feeling like the abundance in your soul, this transformation, this person you're becoming, the one who is fully realized. It's not like you're becoming someone you're not. It means you're basically peeling back the layers of what kept you stuck in this sort of disconnected pattern. The Magician. Yes, you are deep in this already. With this 10 of Pentacles, the Magician, you are deep in this transmutation mode. This is just definitely for you. I feel like this is just a confirmation. You already know. With this Magician here, you're already working this magic in your life. 5 of Wands. Be mindful of letting these old feelings and ideas sneak back in, right? With this Trojan horse energy on the 5 of Wands, this is hidden obstacles. It looks like a gift, but really it's not. So you might have even felt in the past that isolating yourself was the treasure. Isolating yourself was the way to keep yourself safe. But now you're starting to understand that connecting to others is something really important to you. And you're still navigating on how to manifest this in your life in a practical way because you're having to rewrite a lot of old subconscious patterning with this. Page of Pentacles, the Hermit, and the King of Swords. So this Page of Pentacles energy tells me that like you are feeling like you are, this is where you want to be, this energy. But during the transmutation, you're having to you feel like a child again. You feel like you're having to start from scratch with life. And you're like, there might even be with this 5 of Wands and Hermit energy, the idea of almost being upset. Why didn't someone just teach me this? Why wasn't someone just there for me? But this Hermit is all about you claiming your own sovereignty. Not letting anyone else, whether they did something to you in the past or whatever happened, not letting them have even one more drop of your sovereignty. And part of them taking your sovereignty is this disconnect. The Hermit seems disconnected on the surface, but the Hermit is truly connected to their inner world so that when they reflect it outward and they go outward, it doesn't feel like scary or challenging. They know when to retreat and they know when to go forward and go outward. And this King of Swords energy is telling me that with this transformation in you, discernment has been huge because you've learned that what you're feeling, the kind of things you've experienced aren't always the truth with what is really going on in your life. And, Jung says, until we make the unconscious conscious, we will kind of flail through life and whatever happens to us, we'll call it fate. And you're realizing that you have to discern, you have to study and reflect on how you feel and say, does this apply to this current situation? Or is this a result of the past? Am I mentally going back to that time when things were hard and I felt abandoned and alone? And you're going to use your discernment to overcome these challenges. I love this. I find ways in love to overcome challenges. You're not giving up. You're strong. And like I said, with this kind of energy here, this is some powerful energy going for you. You're working through it. You're like, I'm not going to be pushed down anymore. I'm going to fly. You have here building some wings. Now, I feel like I want to pull another card for you. I just get this feeling. almost like a little extra advice, because this is kind of told the story of where you're at. You're already aware of this. You're just in a transmutation phase and need the affirmation for this. Carry hope. Even when things are kind of rough, just remember that carrying hope is about remembering that you are worthy. You are worthy. Don't use hope to replace action, but hope kept you going during those hard times. Don't lose it now at the last minute, right? You are colorful. You are bright. Feed the future. Yeah, it's time to let go of the past. Understand what you learned from it, but push forward into the future. The past was not yours in the sense of like someone else programmed you, someone else conditioned you, but the future belongs to you. And what happens in your mind, in your heart, in your soul in the future, it's now yours. You are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your soul, as Henley says. All right, alchemists, you have so much going for you here. There's a lot of different energies here for you, so I know it can be confusing, but I really believe with this gift card and this hermit card that stuff is really going to start clarifying for you very soon, and you're going to be like, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, I was already starting to understand this, and now I feel it more in my soul. All right. Well, continue the great work, alchemist, and I'll see you next time.